Okay, great. So our next speaker is a dear friend of PDF. You've probably seen her on our stage or in a breakout before. I think this is maybe the fourth or the fifth time that we have Cheryl Contee speaking. It's always a thrill to have her. She runs Fish and Strategy, which is a great political technology consulting firm. She also is the co-founder with Baratunde Thurston, who will be speaking later, of a fantastic African-American political blog called Jack and Jill Politics. And when I asked her if she had a talk in her for this year, she said she absolutely did. She really wanted to talk about the end of the digital divide. So let's hear Cheryl Contee.
Well, before I start talking, I do want to extend my gratitude to Micha Sifri and Andrew Richey, who, right? They are amazing, and I would not be the technologist that I am today without their mentorship, without being able to come to Personal Democracy Forum and get like a miniature graduate degree every year in the future of the internet. So I know that PDF has changed me and made me not only a better technologist, but a better person. So I want to thank them for that. You're welcome. All right, so this is my story. Today, people might know me as an innovative and inspirational technologist who creates award-winning websites and digital campaigns that drive social change. Here's a photo of me with Mark Zuckerberg and some friends, some of whom are here today, at a Facebook party at South by Southwest a few years ago. You might wonder, what is it like to be the only black woman in a room full of the world's top techies? You might think that I was born a black nerd, or a blurred, as we're now being called in the media. The truth is that I was once this kid. This is actually my picture from the pre-digital Facebook at Yale. Yeah. I was just another struggling minority scholarship student back then, hoping to find a job someday that would help me pay for my fancy Ivy League education. When I first moved into my dorm room at Yale, I told my mother that we'd have to find a way to get me a computer. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be able to compete with the other kids. My mom was a teacher. My father was dead. We didn't have a lot of money lying around for computers. I found a program that allowed me to buy a Mac from the school store and attach it to my student loans. I made all the arrangements, but when the day came to go pick up my new computer, I was scared, terrified. I'd never owned anything that cost so much. So I dragged along my boyfriend from the 7th grade, Michael, on the pretense that it might be heavy, but truly I was just scared of the dang thing. Then I made him sit on my bed while I set it up. I think I was afraid I'd break it or blow it up or just screw up somehow. Michael was very supportive in the way that only someone who's known you since you were 13 can be. Setting up that Mac SE gave me a big boost of confidence. I felt good that I was able to get it working without too much drama. I felt I could do anything. But what really changed my life, however, was this woman, Margaret Krebs. You see, as a part of my scholarship package at Yale, I had to have a school job, and I was super broke. The highest paying job on campus was washing dishes in the kitchens. I hate washing dishes. And I figured I wouldn't learn much that way, so I looked at the next highest paying job, which was as a computer assistant, helping other students and professors in the library and dorm computer labs. So that's what I went for, and that's where I met Margaret. I'm pretty sure I was one of the first black kids to ever apply for this job. I convinced Margaret that I was a fast learner and that I liked helping other people. So she gave me the job. The first computer assistant meeting was pretty interesting. It was straight out of Big Bang Theory. Out of 3 or so kids, there were only 4 women, and for 3 years, only 1 black person, me. I don't know why I didn't just turn and run that first day. I think it was because in a room full of misfits, I wasn't alone. And in fact, my fellow computer assistants, who were the geekiest guys on campus, were pretty welcoming, though very curious about me. My new super dork friends invested in training me and gave me the confidence that I could learn what I needed to know. And after a few stumbles, I actually came to enjoy it. I never experienced racism from my fellow computer assistants, although sometimes I did from the very people asking for my help with the printer or their floppy disk. After I graduated, I saw the opening in the market. There were a lot of jobs for people with computer skills. I steered my career in a direction that united my newfound love of gear and gadgets with my passion for connecting people and creating new ways for people to make their voices heard. I've worked with some of the most amazing people on the planet, some of you here in this room. And this was all because Margaret and my fellow computer assistants looked at me and saw someone who could. From around the time I was struggling to learn how to use a mouse through the past few years, there's been a lot of concern that minorities were lagging behind in their usage of computers and the internet. This is in part because broadband landlines were slow to reach minority neighborhoods. Dire predictions arose around the supposed effects of the digital divide, which fortunately have not come true, in part because of efforts like mouse.org by Andrew Richey. But what we do know is that this iteration of the digital divide is dead. How did it die? Well, first, cell phones became cheaper and therefore more accessible. Then, these same cell phones allowed for internet access. So you had large groups of people who became really good at using the internet on their mobile phones. The phones just kept getting smarter. The mobile internet kept getting faster. Today, whites are the ones who lag behind all other groups in their use of advanced internet, smartphones, and social media. This chart up here shows weekly use of some popular social networks on the far right, non-ethnics. That means white, in case anyone is confused about that. White people. Okay. We're all clear? We're all good? Okay. Pew Internet just released a study that shows that 28% of black people use Twitter, and 13% use it every day. Hispanics are not far behind. Those numbers are 2 to 3 times the rate of white use. Women have also taken big strides and now dominate social media. ComScore says that women are the majority of social networking users and spend 30% more time on these sites than men. According to Nielsen, mobile social network usage is 55% female. This shift in influence and power in favor of women has been tremendous. One example is a new social network called Pinterest, whose user base is about 70, Pinterest is awesome, is about 70 to 80% women, and whose Facebook page fans are about 97% female. Pinterest referral traffic is already approaching levels of Twitter and Facebook. So what? You may be thinking, wow, that's so great for black people and Latinos and Asian Americans and Native Americans and chicks. What's in it for me? Or what do I have to give up to create this bright new future for everyone else? I hear you. I work with a lot of white people. I've worked for some white guys, and some white guys have worked for me. I've even dated some white guys. Okay? I'm sympathetic to your plight. After all, in 2011, over 50% of the kids born in America last year were not white. 30 years from now, whites will be the minority. It will be soon, in your lifetime, for most of the folks hearing this, or at least your kids' lifetimes. As a lifelong card-carrying member of a minority, I've got some advice that can help you make the most of these shifting demographic seas. Okay? It's time to get down with the brown, to get jiggy with the jiggly parts, that is, such as women like me tend to have. Right now, we have a situation where resources are not efficiently finding the best investments because of false assumptions, lack of information, and straight-up bigotry. In a conference full of venture capitalists, John Doerr said that when you look at all the world's greatest entrepreneurs, quote, they all seem to be white male nerds who've dropped out of Harvard or Stanford, and they have absolutely no social life. So when I see that pattern coming in, which was true of Google, it was very easy to decide to invest. Well, I'm going to be generous and say that perhaps Doerr is unaware of the man for whom the term "the real McCoy" is coined. There is a time when the railroads built this great country. A man named Elijah McCoy invented an innovation that helped trains run faster with less need for maintenance and thus more profitably. Railroads executives wanted to know if the locomotives that they were running were using the real McCoy, not some cheap knockoff. Elijah McCoy happened to be the son of slaves. He was black. Yet even though we still use his invention today in trains, the real McCoy struggled to find capital investment for this groundbreaking invention that changed a nation. 150 years later, not much has changed. Silicon Valley likes to think of itself as a meritocracy, a racism-free zone, and that's the right spirit to have. I've personally benefited from that way of thinking. I've also seen the results of a failure to acknowledge bias and the skewing impact it's having on investment. The old digital divide is dead. We now face a new digital divide, a lack of training and a lack of skilled workers, not a lack of ability or a lack of jobs. There's a lack of investment and in the creation of content consciously aimed at women and minorities. So let's break that down. Out of the entire city of San Francisco, only 15 black high school kids took calculus last year. Only 25 in Oakland. Yeah, not impressive. This is just one example of the type of education kids need to prepare for a career in technology that they are just not getting. Right now, today, we have people who desperately need jobs, yet good jobs in technology are going unfilled. Unfilled vacancies at tech recruiting firms tripled in the last year. The shortage is causing instability and salary inflation. Our work is slowed down when we can't find qualified, trained, or even interested people. In addition, the people using the services of tomorrow are not represented in the companies creating products for them today. Ultimately, that has to impact the quality of the product. Companies continue to create software, apps, and interfaces with the assumption that their audience is primarily white males. Any marketing pro will tell you, you have to know your audience. I recently played a video game that had only two choices of female avatars, a young white woman and a younger white woman. Not exactly a game I'd buy or recommend. According to a study from Kauffman Foundation, only 4 to 9% of venture capital has gone to women entrepreneurs. So, according to my friend Rachel Payne, who leads global strategic alliances at Google, if you're a woman who has been successful in this business like me, you have bootstrapped, dodged, darted, begged, borrowed, and ultimately innovated past anyone's wildest imagination. As Dave McClure of 500 Startups has said, that means if a tech company is not headed by a white, male, nerd college dropout, it's probably undervalued. It's a really good deal. So what's in it for you? Well, opportunity, money, and power. It's time to recognize that the person who is clicking like in Facebook or just reblogged a video in Tumblr or uploaded a photo to Instagram or just retweeted something smart on a mobile phone is more likely to be black or brown. Those are the companies that will succeed and make the most money in the future. I mean, do you like money is really what I'm asking, because I like money. I don't know. While I may stand out in a crowd of geeks today, this will change with or without your help, nor will it make this country stronger and more prosperous if we are solely reliant on importing talent from countries that frankly have better educational systems than ours. Josh Mailman and Drew Bernard didn't invest angel funding in my new software product called Attentively because they feel sorry for me. My clients, like One Campaign, Define American, NRDC, and the Tides Foundation, don't hire me because they feel sorry for me. My staff didn't come to choose to work with me because they feel sorry for me. They saw the results I've been able to create, helping amazing organizations touch millions of lives. They looked past my race and my gender and saw someone with whom they could do good while doing good. So how can you get in on this action? Yeah. If you own a big tech company, consider setting up free or low-cost training in computer programming, robotics, or basic engineering at a school in a poor or mostly minority neighborhood. Think of these as fertile recruiting stations where you can cherry pick among overlooked talent willing to work harder and more cheaply than you might imagine. If you own a small company, consider an internship and see if you can recruit someone who isn't a young white male nerd. Hire someone who may have less skills and experience, but more promise and drive. If you're a teacher, consider infusing more tech talk, no matter the subject you teach. Inspire your students to see themselves succeeding in a world of technology. If you're a parent, let your kids play video games. Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, recently said that all the female technologists she knows played video games as kids. When I heard that, I could only think back to the many hours I spent playing Pac-Man and Frogger with my brother on our old Atari 800, which we refused to let my mom give away. He's a pilot today. Both of us landed in careers that require real comfort with tech. He has to run training simulations all the time. He says it's a lot like playing video games. If you're a leader or a lawmaker, advocate for more funding for job training. Let's invest more in our educational system. Inner city schools can be places where you find not only the best football players and rappers, but also where the next best technological geniuses will come from. The next real McCoy is out there. If you're a venture capitalist, consider adding some companies to your portfolio that show diversity. That's not affirmative action, and it's not a handout. Diversifying your investments is just smart investing. Anyone will tell you that. Open your mind. Anyone can be a geek. We come in all shapes, all colors, and all sizes, even blurs like me. Open your wallet. It takes money to make money, and now is the time to invest with imagination. Information is the new oil, the new railroad. Open your heart. Margaret Krebs touched millions of lives through changing one person's life, mine. True power comes from nurturing new power. You have the power to shape the future and decimate the new digital divide. You have the power to bury racism and sexism and set the stage for a stronger, more prosperous future for ourselves and for our country. That's the birth of something new, and that is what's up. Thank you so much.